Welcome to the Data Cloud Podcast. Ameesh, we're delighted to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Customer interactions are among the most important elements of capturing loyalty and fostering positive brand awareness for today's businesses. Yet the complexity has never been greater in how end users receive communications across multiple channels and in conformance with a vast patchwork of constantly changing regulations, especially in the finance sector. The only way to manage and improve all these various ways that end users are reached and served is through effective and pervasive automation. And that automation, especially in real time, is only as good as the data it relies on and the intelligence that supports it. In today's discussion, we'll explore how Capital One leverages a modern data architecture to build and enhance customer interactions and experiences. Ameesh, tell us why it's so important to get the underlying systems and information right in order to better serve the users through the greater use of AI.
Well, this is a loaded question. There is such an immense number of new dimensions, as you were talking about. The growth of data has been tremendous over the last, almost decade. In the last few years, it's been between a 20 and 30% year on year growth. So when you think about the sheer volume of information that's coming to us, the ways we can collect it, the channels we can collect it, it's almost overwhelming if you don't just start thinking about standardization and automation, as you were saying.
Well, first, let's also hear about your role at Capital One. Tell us about your background and how you got to be where you are.
Yeah, so my background is I'm an engineer by trade. Studied computer science at UC San Diego, worked at Microsoft on the Windows kernel. I was at Amazon for over a decade, working on lots of different things, but Prime Video was my big baby there in the Amazon App Store. And then ran my own startup. And then I was right coming before Capital One, I was at Google running Gmail, Calendar, and Chat. And here at Capital One, I have an amazing charter. My job is basically to help build all the multi-tenant platforms that support our different lines of businesses and provide leverage for Capital One to be successful, in the long term. So things like our apps and our website, our next generation financial ledgers, our developer experience pipeline, our identity systems. So lots of great infrastructure and systems that will power the next generation customer experiences for Capital One.
Well, I'm sure most of our listeners have heard of Capital One, but let's revisit their mission, their role among financial services, and why data science and AI are important, especially the latest and greatest in data science and AI, to help Capital One proceed and improve on what it's doing.
Well, our mission is very simple. It's change banking for good. And that means a lot of things, but fundamentally, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make financial accessibility to instruments, to credit, to independence for everybody. We want to make it fair. We want to make it a great experience. We want to leverage data in an enormous and thoughtful way to make personalized, real-time, intelligent experiences. We really want to make sure that customers have a great experience and opportunity to build wonderful lives for themselves.
And this, I think, involves more interaction. This is not a one-way street. The more you interact and learn about your customers, the more you can provide them with services and add-on services and from intelligence, the tighter the relationship, the more of a partnership they'll sense. So tell us a little bit about why this is an exciting time for applying what data and intelligence can do to improve that relationship and make it something that they'll find more, I guess, unique in working with your company than perhaps anyone else.
I think this is at the core of our mission, is that we really do want to make personalized experiences for everybody. And what that means is that we're collecting not only feedback from customers subjectively, but we're also doing it objectively. And the channels, as we talked about, in which we can do that, whether it's through our apps or our websites, through whether it's our customer service agents, whether it's through our chatbots, whether it's through any of the pieces where customers touch and interact with, we want to make sure that we're understanding, are we doing the right job for them? Are we servicing them in the way that they want to be serviced? And are we helping them achieve the goals that they're trying to get done? And all of that has to come back to kind of fundamental, having great data infrastructure and making sure that we have kind of closed loop processes that enable us to uh, understand we did this right, we did this wrong, we were A/B testing X or Y. This is what's working for our customers. And interestingly enough, it's not down to cohorts. In the past, we would kind of generally bucket people and say, okay, well, this is a group of X type of customers or Y type of customers. But now we want to be personalized down to the individual, right? And that is a really powerful opportunity. But it requires a lot of thoughtful and intentional engagement with the customer and planning for where this data is going to be stored and how we're going to be using it.
Sure. It's refreshing to me whenever I interact with a company digitally that they can provide me with more and more over time. And I look for that and I expect that now. And it's sort of a quid pro quo. If you do good by me, I'll do good by you. But there's a lot of challenges into that. So tell us why there are hurdles and challenges to getting down to that personalized one-to-one level.
Well, first and foremost, we want to start off with kind of being very well managed and very thoughtful. The collection of all of this information needs to be well regulated, it needs to be secure, and it needs to be very thoughtfully stored and organized so that we're supporting the customer's needs, but also with their consent. Right? So starting off with a position of understanding the regulatory environments and the customer preferences is kind of at core of everything that we're doing.
Hmm.
The second part of that is that the volume and collection of this information that's coming in really necessitates standardization. This is kind of one of Capital One's superpowers, is that we're willing to do the kind of gritty work of organizing and standardizing information so that it's consistent, so that we can then build automation on top of it. Standardization is kind of the unsung hero of our automation platform. Rich, our founder, often talks about this, and it's been a huge motivator for a lot of us because it tends to drive outpaced results. If we can stay standardized, then our ability to automate on top of it becomes a lot simpler and a lot easier. Once that automation is in place, when you're thinking about kind of the constant stream of information that's coming in, the growth and the volume of data that we're processing, it then enables us and enables all of our data analysts and data scientists, our engineers, our product leaders, our designers, basically every function in the company is now able to kind of leverage this with systems like Snowflake, with systems like Spark, with systems like all of our kind of underlying infrastructure. And the core of it is start with great data standardization and build that automation on top of that. And once we have that automation, there's a lot of option value that we get from it.
It's one thing, Ameesh, to have the right message and data and value to deliver, but then there's a second level of challenge around how to get it to the person in the way they want, and to do it in such a way that you're adhering to their preferences, but also to what they are able to get and should be getting, and so forth. So let's look at the challenge not just through making sure that you're giving value, but you're getting it to them through the right way and at that scale and complexity. It sounds like quite a task.
It sure is. The real thing is that it's not just simply knowing about what needs to be delivered to the customers, but it's also where to deliver it to them, when to deliver it to them. If I send you coupons for your shopping, but I send it to you first thing in the morning, and that's not when you're thinking about shopping, we kind of missed the boat, right? We want to do it in the afternoon. If you're looking for a car and something becomes available quickly, our auto team wants to make sure that we're delivering the right offer and the right value to our customers at the right time, right? When we think about all the other kind of internal systems and we think about kind of how our company operates, there's lots of other pieces too. Well, we talk about the end consumer as well, but things like AI-driven ops, or our ability to enable our data analysts to query petabytes of data and smoothly and easily manage the compute over such kind of massive amounts of resources. It just wasn't possible in the past. Now we're able to actually build these tools and systems to be able to get the ability in the hands of our users as well as our customers.
Yeah. So you're not just delivering capital, you're delivering convenience. And in doing so, you have to look at these latest and greatest technologies. So, what is the confluence of these major technologies in your thinking? We've got cloud, we've got large language models, we've got pervasive data science, we've got different architectures for the data itself. Why is this a rather than a perfect storm, a perfect tranquility when it comes to bringing these right technologies to this particular difficult problem?
This is a complex part of the puzzle. There is a lot of different technology out there that serves lots of different needs. I think part of this starts with people. We need to make sure that we have the right people, the right skill set in the company to be able to kind of activate and engage on these frameworks. But as I think about the technology stacks in particular, I kind of think of it as a pyramid. You're building kind of fundamentally on core infrastructure like S3 that's provided by our partners at AWS,
Right.
and it provides us kind of infinite expandable storage capabilities. And then you think about kind of the compute layers, whether it's serverless or using EKS, and we're building on top of these particular systems and tools. And then you keep going even higher. Then you have things like our data warehouse. So it's Snowflake was one of our biggest decisions right when we first moved to the cloud, and that provided us kind of thoughtful, scalable compute power to enable all of our data analysts to kind of continue. And now, even Capital One is now building on top of Snowflake. I mean, we have Capital One software building, Slingshot as an offering. We have tokenizations with data vaults happening right now. So I think about these things as kind of layered tactics where we keep extracting the problem, taking away these things, we automate them, and we take them off the plate of our humans, and really focus our energy for our human beings to be, thinking about high order judgment problems. So, coming back to that automation point is that if we standardize, we automate, we can keep moving up the tech stack so that the higher and higher leverage opportunities are focused on what our great staff and employees are working with.
Right. In order to get that right mix of what people do best and what the machines do best, that's going to be an evolving equation. To get out in front of that, I imagine you, like many companies, are looking at what's going on with AI, with agents, with constellations of agents. Where do you see that going? So how do we build that pyramid up even higher?
Yeah, so I think that this is a fascinating question, and a place where Capital One is already innovating. We already have a multi-agent solution in our concierge platform where we're able to orchestrate multiple agents together to enable great guest experiences, whether it's finding a car, whether it's looking for my next travel itinerary, whether it's booking my flights, whether it's helping me shop. The idea is that we want to build great specialization in these agents, and then help coordinate them across a group of them to enable complex problem solving. And that's where like the kind of magic of all of this happens. I've been in the industry for multiple decades, and I kind of think and watch and observe all that's going on. And if you showed me this even just 5 years ago, I would have been flabbergasted. I would have been like, "This is magic. How is this even possible?" But the advent of great machine learning technologies, LLMs, transformers, all of that has become a sea change event across the entire industry. And now we see these kinds of new architectural patterns, these new agentic approaches to solving the problem. And I'm very pleased to say that Capital One is really kind of focused on leading the way in this space, particularly in a really well managed, well regulated environment like finance.
Yeah. I've spoken to quite a few users and architects and people who are innovating with these technologies. And what's becoming clear is that the higher up that pyramid, as you described it, they go, and the more they're able to avail themselves of automation and data, that they actually can create new services that were not possible before. And and not just being in the capital and credit business, not just being in the convenience of banking and finance business, but you're able to now perhaps monetize and produce products and services that are of a data and intelligence nature, that you have insights into individuals one-on-one but you also have insight into markets and trends. And for both the buy and sell side, you're able to come in and say, listen, we can provide you with all kinds of new services around data. How auspicious is that for you as well?
It's an opportunity to unlock so much value for our customer base. The simple thing I would just bring it all back to is that the democratization of this data, the democratization of the tooling, the ability to try and experiment rapidly and frequently has opened up lots of doors for us to continue to innovate in places where, we may have had to make a prioritization decision in the past where we said, we just don't have the time or the engineers to go and build X. Now, if we can prompt it properly, if we can enable the usage of, coding assistants and, A/B testing assistants and all the things that come with these modern tools and techniques, right? Our ability to innovate very quickly and very rapidly has just grown, and it unlocks a whole new group of people to be much more productive in delivering these great customer experiences to our customers. And so it is a massively strong flywheel. It's democratizing technology and the ability to build tools, products, features, and platforms. But then that enables great customer experiences, great new use cases that we would have never thought to prioritize. And now we actually have the capability to do that. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah, and so again, the people can be innovating around, wow, what new business functions can we provide? How can we invent ways of helping our suppliers and our customers and our ecosystem? So let's start to dig into how that's fomenting in the market now. You mentioned some customer use cases. Do you have a handful or a couple you could describe that help illustrate this new direction in the capabilities of your systems and your people?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's quite a few. I think a simple one is our marketing efforts. Right, Capital One has one of the best brands out there in the space. What's in your wallet, and we want to be able to engage with our customers with the right message at the on the right channel at the right time. When we think about our chatbots and our ability to kind of service customers in a really thoughtful way. Customers come in and they present us with the question. NLP can kind of break that down and understand semantically what is going on and what is the root of the issue, and help our customer service agents find the right answer to the question with the right tools right in front of them. And so our ability to kind of resolve their issues quickly and effectively have dramatically improved. When we think about even simple things like our AI operations, oftentimes we focus on customer facing features, but underneath the covers, when things go wrong, when servers go down, when systems are failing, having great ML models, because we have standardized and organized this vast amount of data, it helps us not only improve our mean time to detection, but our mean time to resolution as well. So that ultimately, creates an amazing experience for our customers where they don't even see problems because we catch them before they become fire, right? We catch them when we see smoke.
Yeah, let's just dig one step deeper into that marketing, because I know you guys do so much with that. And we see you at live events, we see you at big sporting events. You've got a really good way of understanding your market, and you spend and you invest and you innovate in marketing. So how in particular are you using the data and the AI in that interaction between what your audience tells you and what you can then provide back to them?
Yeah, so I would say I would start off with, we have amazing master craftsmen when it comes to our marketing campaigns. They are some of the best I've ever seen. They're very thoughtful, organized. They have great brand guidelines. They've really thought through all the things that they need to be thinking about and doing to engage our customers in the most thoughtful way. My goal with our infrastructure and our tools is really to provide them with the best possible options and tooling to help them accelerate their journey, right? If they were able to create, I don't know, pick a number, 100 campaigns a week, can we help them experiment to create 10,000 campaigns a week? Can we help them do that on a personalized basis for specific individuals? Let's say there's a cohort of individuals that speak Spanish. Can we have AI help us translate our campaigns into Spanish and Hindi and Mandarin and all the other languages that are spoken across the United States and make it a really personalized experience. These are things that like we haven't had the structural capability to give to our amazing marketers. They have the kind of ideas, the creativity, and the analytics, but we want to give them basically a better tool bench to be much more effective. And so, as we think about kind of the infrastructure that we're building, whether it's helping them experiment and ideate new ideas with AI, because there's lots of creative potentials to kind of explore and flesh out, to the times where we flight those experiments and understand all the conversion data, the click-through rates, all the things that happen with great marketing campaigns, and then eventually looking at the kind of fundamental, like, was this a long-term impact? Did it create great LTV for our customers and for our business? And all of these things are fundamentally tied to kind of core infrastructures of being able to say, do we have the right data in the right place? Can they focus and engage with it? Particularly when we think about programmatic versus non-programmatic interfaces, it's important to know that our data scientists are kind of attaching to the data, from a programmatic way, and our data analysts are using their kind of thoughtfulness and judgment and creativity to actually go back and look at what's happening, and leveraging tools like Snowflake, leveraging tools like Spark and TensorFlow and all the other areas that we're kind of focused on, Flink, et cetera, helps us understand not only what's happening right now, what's happened in the past, but then we can also start doing things about real-time analysis. And as things are happening in the moment, we see customer clicking this button and looking here and searching for a flight. They're actually interested in X, Y, and Z. Let's start changing the experience of our clients and our marketing efforts to really focus and help them solve their problems that they're trying to adjust to. So there's an amazing opportunity in Flywheel here that just grows better and better. But fundamentally, my goal in marketing and for Capital One is continue to upgrade the tools to enable the amazing people that have already built a tremendous brand. I want to just supercharge. I want to put rocket fuel in their tank.
Right. It seems pretty obvious to me that the marketing organization and the AI organization should be getting closer and closer at many companies. You're a great example of that. So I hope some others learn from that. If you haven't brought your AI and marketing people together, now is the time to do it. You also mentioned earlier the culture and the people. So I wonder if you have any advice for other organizations that are perhaps trying to bring hitherto disparate organizations and units closer, or to break down silos, both technically and culturally. What advice do you have for organizations to try to become the AI first and AI ready company when it comes to the people and how they're organized?
I think this is one of the great things about Capital One's culture is that we're incredibly data centric. Our company was founded on our kind of information-based strategy. We were literally doing A/B tests with mailers. Rich started off this company just to say, hey, there's a great way to use data to really understand what offers are going to land well, which products should we deliver. And as time went on, the company really put that into our core part of our culture. We are very data driven. We are very truth seeking. And this is an important one. It's easy to say that, but it's not easy to live it. And I think that the third part of this is that you have to be open to the information leading you down paths that you weren't anticipating, right? So, with A/B tests, with any kind of experimentation, with the ideas of I need to try X before I actually roll it out to more and more people, that has to be a fundamental part of your culture. Once you have that kind of foundational piece in place to say, I'm looking for the truth and I'm okay if it takes me in unexpected places, right? If everybody is kind of bought into that overall perspective, it really helps drive the kind of further investment and the further, intentionality around the standardization, the automation, the collection of information. Because all those things they're expensive and painful, right? They have a big payoff, but it takes a lot of grit and fortitude to actually take the time and investment to make all of those things happen. So it's not something that you enter in lightly. It's something that you really have to be mindful and thoughtful of and say, I really do want the end goal here. I want to have those personalized real-time experiences. I want to be able to leverage my data in every aspect of my business, whether it's software operations, whether it's customer service, whether it's marketing, whether it's fraud detection, whether it's cybersecurity. All these places will be able to get value if you take the time and space to actually do this work. But you can't do that work unless you fundamentally believe in it. If you don't, so I would say the first and foremost thing is you got to build it right from the top down. Is establish a culture where this is important, and then once you know that that's really in people's not only brains but also hearts, then you can start taking the time to invest in the technology, the infrastructure, and the capabilities that will enable you to have all of these different use cases unlocked.
Well, great. I think that's a wonderful place to end it. Thank you for pulling that together and the concept of the pervasiveness of how these technologies will impact and are impacting businesses. So thanks so much to our latest Data Cloud podcast guest, Ameesh Paleja, Executive Vice President, Enterprise Platform Technology at Capital One. We so much appreciate your sharing your time, your thoughts, your experience, and expertise.
Thank you so much, Dana. I appreciate you having me.
It was a pleasure.